What's up, buddy?
Good afternoon. It is 3:02 on Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. I'd like to call our Richland County work session to order. Madam Clerk, can you take the roll, please?
Brenham.
Here.
Pugh.
Here.
Little.
Here.
Livingston.
Here.
Teratio.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Cooper. Eileen.
Here.
Mackey.
Here.
English.
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Would like the record to reflect that Councilman English and Councilwoman Cooper did notify me ahead of this meeting that they'd be attending virtually. And per county rules, that is acceptable. Next item on our agenda is adoption of the agenda. Administrator Brown, did you have any changes this afternoon?
There are no requested changes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion is second for approval. Madam Clerk?
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Cooper. Eileen.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next is item 3, which is items for discussion. I'd like to remind everyone that this afternoon's meeting is a work session, so that means no action will be taken by the body this afternoon. It strictly is just a work session to receive information and ask questions of staff. Administrator Brown, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. Again, welcome to this May 12th work session. We are going to start with the general fund, but just as a brief reminder and an overview to kick off, as we talked about in our special revenue funds, we did communicate that we would be asking in the special revenue funds, specifically related to the fire services fund, as well as solid waste, we would be recommending as a part of the administrator's budget recommendations for going to the meal cap. But for the general fund, we do not have any such recommendations, and we would be recommending a no meal increase for the general fund. With that being said, Madam Chair, members of council, if you could recognize Director Brittany Hammond of Budget and Strategic Management. She will kick off the presentation beginning with the general fund.
Director Hammond, you're recognized.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and County Council. Thank you we're happy to be here with you today to talk about the general fund. And we do have the presentation for you. Next slide. Thank you. So just to start off, just a brief explanation of what the general fund is. So the general fund is the primary operating fund of the county. This fund is used to account for all financial transactions not accounted for in one of the other funds that we've already workshopped, so special or enterprise funds. Also, the county policy is that we have a minimum unassigned fund balance that equals 20 to 35% of the general fund expenditures for the previous year, and we do want to report that we are within that standard. Next slide. So for today's presentation, excuse me. So for today's presentation, we have a high-level general fund financial overview, including the revenue and expenditure trends, personnel and compensation recommendations, and some sustainability and retiree benefit discussions. We have both our HR director, Director Harley, and Director Holt-Terry here to further that conversation from the first work session. Next slide, please. So for the fiscal year 2027 recommended general fund revenue, it is currently forecasted at $251.9 million in our sources of income. The operating revenue continues to show stable growth, while this year we are having some assigned fund balance used to take care of items from the capital plan and ambulances for the emergency medical services department. Next slide. This slide shows a more detailed overview of the revenue sources. Here we have the projected no-mill budget, and the same for the capital budget. It is a no-mill. We're also showing some of the higher line items such as licenses, permits, fees, and lieu, and what the difference is as far as the forecast from last year. Next slide. Here we continue the expenditure overview for the general fund. This is a high-level overview just accounting for what we are anticipating for personnel and operating for the upcoming year, and then also showing the capital expenditures. You will see the fiscal year requested amount and the recommended amount, as well as the difference between the two fiscal years in a percent value here.
Madam Chair,
You recognize Ms. Newton.
quick question. In our previous work session, there were several recommended positions from administration. Are those included here in our personnel line item?
They are in a couple of slides going forward. I believe it is slide.
I can wait till we get
We
there.
can
I
get
was
there,
just
okay.
looking at the recommended and wondered if that included.
Yes, it
Okay.
includes those recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry, I'll just get back there. So yes, that does include the personnel recommendations that you will see isolated out to show you who's requested what. Next slide. Historically, we have provided a snapshot of the departments with the highest expenditures, and so we've continued that here. Most of these account for our public safety departments. Next slide. We'll move on to the it's the next slide, sorry. One back, I apologize there. This is also some statistics from the expenditures from the highest changes in this year's fiscal year recommended budget, and it's shown by a percent value and then shown by a dollar amount. Most of these also related to public safety or risk management. The next slide further defines that by just showing what percentage of general fund costs are represented towards the public safety budget. From here, we're getting into the lines by detail. So this is the detail based on the department name or cost center that you see here. This section includes Public Works, Animal Care, Facilities, Conservation Commission, lump sum agencies, which include grants and membership fees. Next slide. And we continue to include, sure.
I'm sorry, hold on. Ms. Livingston, you recognize?
On page 12, under council services, actual 2025, is that number correct?
On page 12. I'm sorry, that looks like a typo. Sorry about that. We can get you the actual number. I'll have the actual number for you by the
I
end of
have
the
no more
meeting.
questions about that item then.
Thank you very much. Apologize for that error. Any questions on that slide? Okay, so we're on page 15. This continues some of the Thank you. This continues some of the by-line details for our departments, showing the fiscal year 25 budgeted, the actuals for 25, also the 26 budgeted, and then the requested and recommended amounts for 2027. As shown in some of the last work sessions, departments held to their current budget, and some of the ones that you do see if it has an amount that's higher than in the recommended column, those were for mandatory service type increases, something that was needed to maintain their service level. Next slide. So the total the total expenditures, of course, match the revenues that's forecasted at about $251.8 million. Any questions on those?
Madam Chair?
Here.
Yes, you are recognized, Ms. Newton, and then Mr. Weaver.
Just quick question on page 13, item 1880, community development. What is that? I would have thought I knew, but until it didn't have any additional funds for it.
You said community development?
It's
That is
cost
the-
center 1880.
That is Director Sanithia Williams's, Philip Harris, sorry. Dr. Philip Harris, Governmental
Okay,
Services and Community Development. Is that the
That
full
changed.
title?
thank you.
Councilman Weaver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On page 10, what's the special duty department? What is that?
Special duty is when deputies from the sheriff department are serving maybe for like me at your local skating ring or at a park. They are assigned those, and then that is held in a special fund. And so as we bill and collect for that revenue, it's held there.
Okay. Is that included in the sheriff's department budget as well, or this is outside of that?
It's held as a separate cost center. So
Okay.
you'll see the sheriff cost center, and then you'll see it separated out for special duty.
Okay.
Yeah, and that department has, I think, like maybe 4 personnel people that are always there, but then all the other deputies are in and out serving the community.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Branham.
Thank you for this information, as always, Hammond. On page 11, the pie chart there, it's nice to be able to get like that relative breakdown in spending between those larger cost centers or whatever you want to call them. Do you have any sense for how these breakdowns compare to like similar counties in the state?
As far as the amount of expenditures for departments like those,
Yeah, percentages.
we don't have that data, but if you would like that, I can get that collected for you soon.
That'd be great. I'd love to see
Okay.
that.
Is there
Thank you.
just all the ones listed for top 10? Is that what you would like?
Something like that would be really nice.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Anybody online?
Okay. And so, waiting for my screen to come up. Let's see, something where. On the general fund personnel recommendations. Alrighty. And so these were shared. I'm sorry, I can't see. I'm trying, my computer is like really slow in
Okay,
here.
I was wondering. All right, so
So I was trying to wait for it to catch up, and I can't quite see over to that screen. So these are the positions that were shared with you in the first work session where we talked a lot about personnel. These recommendations have not changed since that meeting. And so I think on this slide, what we talked about was we are recommending 7, but 4 of those positions are already active employees being transitioned off of current grant funding. Next slide. The next slide is the reclassification. So we currently have a STEP program, and where it's kind of it's set up to where people can go from a step to a grade, and there's a 2.5 or a 5% difference. And so this is where different departments, either for a need of service or in some cases the request is for merit, they're requesting a change to an existing position salary. 29 were requested, 16 are being recommended, and you can see that some departments were very creative in changing some of their positions around. That's why you see the negative amounts. They've elected to, with the help of the administrator and our staff, to freeze positions in order to account for some better need that they see in their department. The total impact between the new positions and the reclassifications come to about $362,000. Any questions here?
Chair.
Recognize.
Ms. Hammond, on page 16, just looking at the 2 requests from the EMS department, one for 6 EMT basic, one for 6 paramedic. I've seen communications here and there, just I guess anecdotally related to response times in different parts of the county. Can anybody from administration talk about why an increase of 0 positions was recommended for EMS?
Yes, sir. So historically, over the last few years, we've added positions, but those positions have not gone filled. And so we didn't add new positions when there are vacant positions that are still available to be filled. And then not to get into EMS's wheelhouse, but a part of the response time is not necessarily specifically to staffing alone. Some of it is availability of ambulances. And what I mean by that, I mean like literally having available ambulances that can be in the county, because between wrecked vehicles, older vehicles, emergency response vehicles are simply, and have been since the pandemic, hard to get. And ambulances are included in that. So personnel-wise, it's simply because they have available positions that are unfilled. And so we didn't feel the need to add more positions that are not filled, because it takes away opportunities for funding for other critical areas in the county.
And so as to ambulances, then we heard earlier, we've got some additional funding in the recommended budget, right, to help purchase more ambulances?
That is correct.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Livingston, you recognize.
Just quick on page 16 as well. Those positions for like deputy sheriffs, for deputy coroner and so forth, is that just the salary? Is there, like equipment and cars, anything associated with those positions?
The requested financial impact that you see here is for their salary, and it includes an estimate on their fringe benefits such as health care and any other insurances that may be elected.
Nothing else associated?
Nothing else associated with the deputy. Okay. Next, we have some of our colleagues here, Director Harley, to talk about, you come up first. I'm sorry, ACA Thompson is going to introduce this section to talk about some sustainability measures that are being recommended.
Madam Chair, members of council, thank you for allowing us to be here this afternoon. If you can go to the next slide, please. In the name of transparency, forward the other way, please. No, the other way. One more. There you go. In the name of transparency, this year we're trying to memorialize many of the things that have been in place for some time, as well as some new initiatives that we'll be bringing to you, just so that while all of us as staff and council may know that some of the things that exist for us, we want to make sure that the public actually knows exactly what it is that we are doing to be the most efficient and most effective that we can with taxpayer dollars. So these measures that we'll be talking with you will sustain long-term funding for essential county services and operations and employee benefits, promote consistent and equitable administration of county policies and practices, increase transparency and accountability in financial and operational decisions, strengthen stewardship and efficient use of taxpayer resources, and support the county's long-term financial sustainability and strategic processes. Next slide, please. So the first piece we're going to talk about is compensation alignment. If you can go to the next slide, please. So if you recall, in the FY24 compensation plan, we established a sustainable framework for annual increases tied to satisfactory performance evaluation, and it has been funded by council for the past 3 fiscal years. And we applaud that effort, as for many years that was not something that was at a high level of concern or at a high level of visibility for many people. For departments not participating in performance evaluations, other measurable performance criteria may be considered for the qualification for the STEP program. This would include safety, accountability, and responsible stewardship of county resources. Additionally, we currently have a process that reclassification requests for currently occupied positions will be considered only through the budget process. This ensures that we're able to adequately budget for the positions that we have and those that we anticipate filling in the following year. Administration recommends that council approve these measures as consistent application across all departments as part of the FY 2027 budget as a vote of confidence in our STEP program. Below that, you will see that this coming year represents an increase of $2,093,000 to award the STEP program for employees. I'm happy to take any questions.
Madam Chair.
Recognize.
Not a question, but to just add just one layer of clarity, in addition to what Assistant County Administrator Thomas has shared with you, is that what we're asking specifically is that the salary plan that the county council voted to put in place represents a policy position, and that individuals are not able to act outside of the salary plan. That way there's consistency across the board in terms of how staff utilizes positions that are approved during the budget process. And that's why we're saying that it's important for us that this represents a policy position, that when this budget is voted on, if that is your understanding and your expectation, then my staff would not process requests that do not align with the salary plan. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the additional point of clarity.
If there are no further questions, I'll turn the podium over to Director Harley to talk about some benefit modifications being recommended.
ACA Thomas, real quick. This recommended dollar amount, does that account for all positions, even the ones that aren't filled right now? Or is that just a percentage of what we believe to be filled? Or?
It is those positions that are filled presently, because to be eligible for the step in a year, you have to be an active employee, not in a probationary status.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Recognize, Director.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon to the honorable members of County Council. I wanted to present to you today, and if you don't mind, next slide, please, some information regarding some of the benefits, and we're requesting modifications. The recommended salary budget includes funding for our longevity program. And as most of you are aware, the county has had a longevity program where we have awarded employees a percentage of their salaries once they complete 5 years of service. In addition to that longevity program, there is a second longevity program where we are awarding a one-time 10% longevity payout for retirees. This fiscal year, we are requesting to continue to fund the employee longevity bonus program, but we do want to discontinue that longevity payout of 10% for retirees. As we have continued to review our benefits offerings, there are no other comparable governments that are offering a payout for retirees such as this. This actual cost will save the county approximately $225,000 annually, and we recommend that this continuation be effective on July 1st, 2027. I'm sorry, 2026. That is a typo, if you don't mind, in your booklet.
Recognize Councilwoman Tricia.
Thank you. Recognizing that it's an achievement to stay at any job these days for 20 years, how many people does that represent that achieved 20 years at the county?
I will tell you, I don't have that exact number with me, but I can get it for you, but it is a very small percentage of that. But one thing that we took into consideration with this recommendation is that prior to getting to this reward, that individual would have at least had 15 years of receiving the longevity payout that the county continues to offer.
What is that, a percentage, or what's that, the annual?
What the annual amount that we're spending for?
Yes, for the 5 or more years of service. What's that?
Yes, approximately about, we pay out about $1 million per year for that particular program for the employees.
And is that also a percentage of the base salary?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And so just to give you a little additional detail on that, for employees that have 6 to 10 years, they will continue to get that 1% of their base salary. For employees that have 11 to 15 years, they will receive 2% of their base salary. And for employees that have 16 years or more, they will receive 3% of their base salary. So that benefit will still be in place. Generally, we pay that out once the budget is approved in August. But what we are requesting is that the retirees would not receive that additional 10% payout, resulting in a $225,000 annual savings for the county.
Thank you. And I lost it, but thank you for letting us know that.
Feel free to reach out to me with any other questions. Okay, next slide. The next modification that we wanted to discuss with you today is just recommending a modification of our retiree health insurance structure. As you all probably know, that we continue to see healthcare costs increase and ongoing volatility within the insurance market. As of today, we're paying approximately $3.2 million annually to support our retiree health insurance benefits. If we were to fund all of the retirees that were eligible for retirement today, that cost would exceed $5.4 million. With the continued increase in healthcare costs without structural modifications, projected future liabilities associated with retiree healthcare benefits we continue those to increase. So we have done a review and compared our retiree health insurance offerings to other local governments. And based on that review, we'll share some of the modifications that we are proposing so that we have sustained long-term fiscal sustainability with our employee benefits for retirees. So if you go to the next slide, please. This chart will actually show you a comparative analysis. We spent some time over the last several years just reaching out to other local governments and organizations to determine how they are funding their retiree health insurance program. And we have realized that most agencies have either reduced the retiree medical subsidies, eliminated dependent subsidies, or implemented strict eligibility requirements. This comparative review demonstrates that Richland County's current subsidy structure is significantly more generous than many of our peer governments throughout the states. Staff believe that the modest changes that we will share with you will help us ensure the availability of a county subsidy to retirees who've made their career for Richland County. So we want to ensure that we have a program that allows us to reward retirees, but is also financially sustainable. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. Okay, this slide right here actually shows you our current subsidy level. So the chart on the left will show you what we have in place today. And you can see that right now for employees that have over 25 years of service with the county, we're paying 100% of their costs. But you'll also see where we're paying 62.2% of their dependents' costs if they're carrying their wife or spouse or a dependent on their insurance. Our subsidies actually decrease with service, but we're recognizing and subsidizing insurance for employees that have 10 to 14 years and above. The recommended subsidy would actually recommend a career. And when you look at a career of service, a career is generally recognized at 20 years or greater. So the new subsidy would recognize employees that have 20 years or more with the county. And if you have 20 to 25 years, the county would pay 50% of your premium. If you have 25 years or more, the county would pay 100% of your premium. So the county remains committed to continuing the health insurance coverage for retirees and their dependents, but we must make sure that it is financially sustainable. So in 2023, we did transition to the South Carolina Public Employee Benefit Authority, which is PEBA. That is the program that most state agencies cover. Right now, they have 550,000 members. There are 550,000 members in that insurance program. And so by allowing this program, we anticipate that we will be able to continue to have a great program for retirees, but also be able to afford to subsidize their insurance costs in retirement.
Okay, Ms. Newton, Mr. Weaver.
Mr. Weaver was actually first.
Just a quick question on this current subsidy versus recommended. Is this the breakdown of the $225,000 annual savings?
Okay, the $225,000 in annual savings is based on the dependents only.
Dependents only?
It's dependents only. So when I shared with you the costs in the prior slides, the savings for the county, when you take into consideration the number of retirees that we have today, if they were eligible and we went to this new program, if we remain with what we have, we will potentially increase by $1.2 million in costs per year if we continue the subsidies that we have in place for the retirees. But for their dependents, that savings is where you see that
$225,000 dependents. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
for the
Thank you.
dependents.
Ms. Newton.
Okay, well, now I'm confused about Mr. Weaver's answer. So does the number $225,000 appear twice? Because where I see $225,000 is the retiree longevity payment program.
Correct.
So, but what I just heard sounded like it was referring to something different. So can we clarify just one more time for me what the $225,000 in savings are?
Sorry for that. The numbers are very, very similar, and that's the reason for that. The $225,000 that was referenced earlier is the longevity program.
Okay.
However, the dependent cost is actually $248,000 a year, and it's not in your presentation anywhere. It was in the work session that we had about a week ago.
Okay. So thank you for that. And then looking at the charts, thank you for comparing the subsidies, the current subsidy and the recommended subsidy. I would be curious in a future time to know what the cost difference would be if we continue to pay part of the retiree premium for some of those 15 to 19-year employees. I certainly understand the idea that a career is 20 years, and my hat goes off to all those people that can do that. But in the current work environment that we've been trending for at least a decade, that's just not how people work. And so I would be curious to know, 15 years to 19 years is still an extraordinary time commitment to an organization. So again, I don't know if it's a step down. I'll let you guys decide if it goes from 50 to 25, but I would be curious to see what that math is. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I was simply going to acknowledge the member and say that we could look at 25. This is something that we did consider. We did want to share with you the full information, understanding there may be some opportunities for us to adjust. That is certainly an adjustment that we're definitely willing to make, and we'll definitely come back and share that information.
Well, if I may, it's a question on my part, and maybe because, and I don't want to minimize the amount of time that your team spent looking into this. If maybe there's any additional information you'd like to share with me now in terms of why we said, nope, 15 to 19, we can't do that, whether it's because we don't feel like it's enough of a time commitment to the county, or if simply financially we can't sustain it, whatever the reason is.
We did discuss 15 years as a good retention number, but at the same time, we wanted to share with you the totality of when you look at other agencies and we talk about the sustainability. But one of the things internally, so I'm not saying you're suggesting it, I'm saying I'm communicating to you as the administrator, the retention number of the line 15 was close. So it's reasonable for me to say we can go back and look at the 25 because it's something that we internally had a conversation about.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Teresia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to echo Ms. Newton's question and comments about this. And I just want to say that for folks who stick around with the county, we honor you and thank you.
Thank you. And most definitely, we do want to make sure that we are communicating with our employees. So if you will go to the next slide. The implementation and transition plan. So if this plan is adopted and approved, our current retirees would have no changes to their retiree contribution amount. So the people who have already retired with the county will see no changes in their existing retiree health insurance benefits. They will be grandfathered into the current structure. However, this change would impact the subsidies that are provided for their dependents. So beginning on January the 1st, 2027, we will recommend a 50% reduction in the subsidy coverage for those dependents, okay? That will be January 1st, 2027. A second reduction would become effective on January 1st, 2028 of 50%. And then beginning on January 1st of 2029, those current retirees will become fully responsible for the cost of their dependent coverage. So that gives them time financially to prepare for that change. And then the recommended structure would become effective beginning on January 1st, 2027, and would apply to employees retiring after June 30th, 2026.
I think I saw several people when I looked up. So we're going to start right here and then work down. Okay. So Mr. Livingston, then Ms. Little, and Ms. Newton.
You know, I often hear some of our employees say they work, one of the reasons they work for the county is because of the county's great health insurance program. So one of the things I want us to do is, as we implement this, is just try to do a very close study about the implications for it in terms of its impact on our employees who say they're here primarily for the insurance benefit. Because I think that's going to be an important factor. And not only that, it may be that some of the counties we're comparing, our employees with, they may be paying more money too. So let's look at the overall implication of this as we push forward.
Ms. Little said, Good. Ms. Newton?
Thanks. And just one more question. As I read the chart on page 25 that compares us to other counties, and I know it's not apples to apples, am I reading correctly that none of these organizations are paying dependent premiums?
I will tell you, I cannot see that.
Okay, no worries.
slide
I can
right
take
there.
that answer later. No
Okay.
problem. Thank
Yes,
you.
but I will say most organizations and most local governments do not provide subsidies for their dependents. And Councilman Livingston, thank you for that comment. I will say too, though, one thing we are working really hard to do in Human Resources is to work with administration and really take a closer look at our employee salaries. And I think we shared that as well. And so the goal is to continue to do those market studies. We're preparing for a new compensation analysis so that we can continue to increase their rates. And then that will impact their average final calculations as they prepare to retire. So we are looking at this in its totality.
Councilman Brown?
Thank you. So it seemed like with those first two numbers where you talked about 3.2 million being currently allocated to support those retiree benefits, but if everyone retired who was eligible, it would cost 5.4. So is the target number to save 2.2 million? Is that more or less accurate?
$2.2 is a great number, but actually it's just to maintain, to ensure that we don't continue to grow on an annual basis. In the last 3 years, our retiree health coverage has increased by about $500,000. So it's more to stop the growth. The 5.4 number was if everyone were eligible for a subsidy today, we're also eligible to retire. That means anybody that has 10 years or more of service. That's what that 2.2 number relates to.
Okay. I think overall it's very competitive. So what are the projected savings based on the recommended subsidy?
If in the first year we were to reduce dependent coverage to those retirees that are currently covered by 50%, you would save $125,000 approximately. In year 2, you would realize in that same group an additional approximately $125,000. There's also the delta of the amount that you're not offering dependent coverage to that you're saving beyond that point, and that's not a quantifiable number.
And any savings would just go back into the general fund?
It does go back into the general fund, and keep in mind that you're investing, we're proposing to invest $2.1 million in salary increases this year. So these things make it possible for us to be able to continue to invest in our employees in other ways.
Yeah, as someone who's in the private sector in their day job, this is really impressive to see retiree premium payments. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Director Harley?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
very briefly.
Yes.
Beyond the money, and I have experience with this in my previous county, what I don't want our HR director to do is have to come to the council and say, we have to cut benefits in the sense that we can't afford. And so the sustainability portion is really what we're trying to be after. So when people retire and they anticipate in the future years to have health care as a retiree, a retired employee, that there is something there for them and that they don't have to be surprised and shocked when you have to come in and say, I'm sorry that you worked for 20 years and we told you that you would have a subsidy, but now you don't. I've been through that. It is not a good feeling for anyone, and we want to prevent that from happening, and that's why our focus here is more on the sustainability of the benefit than it is taking away from individuals who have earned something.
Thank you again, Administrator Brown, for sharing the sustainability piece. I know ACA Thomas mentioned that as we started to go over this section, and it truly is a reflection of the strategic plan that this council approved, and staff truly does work to implement that in every way. So thank you for sharing that. Director Harley?
Yes, thank you all, honorable members of council. And next, I would like to present to you our Director of Risk, Ms. Brittany Terry Hole, and she'll be presenting on the Fleet and Driver Management Program.
Thank you, Director Terry Hole.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of council, and thank you for the opportunity to present a bit more on our new Fleet and Driver Management Policies and Procedures Manual. The purpose of the manual is to consolidate vehicle-related policies and procedures into one document that's easily accessible to all employees. Also to eliminate gaps, duplication, and the potential for any inconsistent guidance, and to support safety, compliance, cost control, and operational efficiency. The next two slides you have are the detailed policy objectives, and I did go over those in detail in the last presentation, so I won't review those again, but I wanted to include those for reference. So I will pick up on slide 33, which is existing policies and materials that were incorporated into the new manual. So the new manual will contain current fleet and vehicle policies that are in the handbook and the former HR guidelines. Also, we have an old safe driving program. I say old, and that information was put out probably 10 years ago, but a lot of it is still relevant today, and some of it is cross-referenced in the handbook and those HR guidelines. So pulling that information in as well. Accident reporting procedures, maintenance and inspection procedures, fuel key and fuel site procedures, insurance and risk management requirements, and also regulatory and legal compliance requirements. So what remains the same? Our commitment to safe and responsible vehicle operation continues. We have that commitment today, and that will certainly continue with the new policies and procedures manual. The requirement to follow laws and expectations regarding timely incident reporting, the need for routine vehicle care and inspections, and organizational oversight of authorized drivers and assigned vehicles. So all of the core expectations remain in place. We're simply pulling all of this together in a manual to improve clarity, consistency, and administration of the policies and procedures. New or enhanced elements. The policy and procedures manual gives a clearer definition of roles and responsibilities within the organization, standardizes forms, workflows, and approval steps. We have updated requirements for driver qualification and also for training, improved processes for vehicle allocation and vehicle assignment. So we are centralizing that a bit better, and we're going to be able to have a process that flows better within the organization and really helps to improve our efficiency. Refined take-home vehicle requirements, more consistent enforcement and review processes, and also new technology to help improve efficiency and monitoring. And that most of these technology programs have already been implemented. They've been budgeted and implemented. So we've been laying that foundation, that groundwork for quite some time to make this possible. MVR monitoring program, I spoke a little bit about that in the last work session, but we are in the process of implementing that now. A new telematics program, that is something that we implemented last fiscal year. Dash and cabin cameras, this is something that we have been trialing and have implemented in some vehicles and plan to continue to do so. Online pool vehicle reservation system, that is not something we have implemented, but that is something we plan to implement in the upcoming fiscal year. Web-based fleet and asset management system, so we transitioned to that program a couple years ago. And upgraded fuel site technology to help us better track our fuel. Implementation approach. We will soon be seeking council approval. From there, we will distribute the new manual and related forms. We will communicate to all employees. A key part of this will be training for not only drivers, but also departmental leadership. There will be a transition period for adoption in which we will make sure that the expectations are clear and that we communicate that path forward as to how the policy will actually be implemented, and then compliance monitoring and follow-up reviews. Expected benefits. We expect to see fewer preventable incidents and reduced risk, better compliance with internal and external requirements, lower maintenance and operating costs over time, and notably, we're estimating to save around $300,000 per year with modifications to our take-home vehicle policy. And specifically, speaking to that take-home vehicle policy, we are clarifying that vehicles must be only taken home when they are responding to emergencies to protect life or property, and that employee's in an on-call status, and the response time would, it would be detrimental to the response time for them to pick up a county vehicle and then to respond. So there's a kind of a checklist to walk through for when it would be appropriate to allow an employee to take a vehicle home. This will also allow for more consistent decision-making across departments, stronger accountability and documentation, easier onboarding and training for new drivers and managers, again, because we are working from one complete document rather than policies and procedures that are contained in multiple different documents, and an overall better protection of organizational assets. Any questions?
Mr. Livingston has a question.
Now, are we referring to all vehicles, whether it's the coroner, the sheriff, public works, EMS?
The proposed policy would apply to all county-owned vehicles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's up next?
Madam Chair, may I answer the question from Councilman Livingston about the
Oh,
number?
yes, please.
Okay. That number should have been a 1 instead of a 9.
Thank you.
So apologize again for the error.
That's what I anticipated. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
For everyone, that was the council services number, so that's clarified.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it. So that would conclude our discussion for the general fund. And we've noted questions that we should come back with an answer for. We'll return those to you before the next time we meet about the budget. We have now our millage agencies to present. I did want to note that the third presenter, Richland Library, has had a family emergency, is unable to present today. Did send a letter from the agency, and it is included in your packet. Also, the school District 1 and School District 2 has submitted their budgets to you, and they are also in your packet for today, but did elect not to present. So if it is okay, Madam Chair, we would start with Area Mental Health, Columbia Area Mental Health, Richland County Recreation Commission, Riverbank Zoo and Gardens, and then Midlands Technical College.
Thank you so much. So Columbia Area Mental Health, your representative, who come forward, please. So for all millage agencies, I'm aware that we shared a time frame. We're not going to time you, so we'll, but we just want to be respectful of everybody's time and make sure we can get to all millage agencies.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for having me today. I'm Kathy Hugg. I'm the Executive Director of Columbia Area Mental Health Center. Our mental health center serves Richland and Fairfield County. We are one of 16 mental health centers throughout the state. Formerly a part of the Department of Mental Health. Now it's the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. Next slide, please. Our leadership consists of myself and Dr. David Justice, who is our medical director. With me in the audience today is also Blair Faust. She is our center administrator. Key divisions that we cover: medical services, child and adolescent services, adult services, administrative, emergency services, and a crisis stabilization unit. Our staff makeup is about 183 employees, with psychiatrists, nurse practitioners, nurses, therapists, administrative staff, emergency staff, and again, our crisis stabilization unit staff. Next slide, please. In fiscal year 25, we served over 6,000 patients and with over 85,000 therapeutic treatment services provided. Along with local law enforcement, we responded to 651 behavioral health emergencies in the community. These responses are given to any resident of the county. They do not have to be one of our current patients. We also started an assertive community treatment program. This was mandated by the Department of Justice, and we were the first in the state to be up and fully operational. We embedded a mental health professional into Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center to assist with treatment, discharges, and continuity of care. We completed all of our licensure requirements to open the crisis stabilization unit. It is a 24/7 residential type of treatment facility. It is the second in the state. The very first actually licensed as a true crisis stabilization unit, and we opened it actually in August of last year. We had several federal grant cuts, so we consolidated some staff, we reduced some leases, and we also renewed our accreditation through the Commission on Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities. Next slide, please. The budget request this year was a little difficult to do. Our current fiscal year that we are in, our revenue projections are just that. They're projections based off of historical data. We implemented a brand-new electronic health record in February of this year that attached with it is our billing system. The billing system is not functional yet, so we have not received any revenue since we started that system in February, though we do anticipate it catching up and getting all of the revenue. We don't have it just yet. And I don't know if it will be this fiscal year or next when it comes in. And then next year's fiscal year budget is projected again off of historical data, although based off of state appropriations in the legislation, we do not anticipate getting as much as we have gotten in the past, though that's not finalized yet, so we don't know the anticipated number. Next slide, please. Just some other highlights. Again, we implemented the new Healthtronic records, which has been challenging, especially for our revenue purposes. We have historically been able to keep our surplus to help with any capital projects or large one-time expenses. We've been told not to anticipate that moving forward due to the merger that we have had with the other state agencies. Also, our projected revenue for the next fiscal year, as is for every fiscal year, is based off of optimal staffing, as if we didn't have any turnover, which I wish we didn't have any, but obviously we do. I'm a proud employee of 24 years, so this is my career, as we were talking about earlier. And the overall percentage of our budget based off of county appropriations is 13%. We are anticipating a 2% raise based off of state mandated increases, though that is still in legislation, has not been finalized yet, but that is not projected in our budget. And based off of just enrollment trends, I'm sorry, next slide. Based off of enrollment trends, we do serve between 6,000 and 7,000 patients annually, and we do offer a sliding fee scale for those patients who are uninsured or underinsured. Any questions?
Councilman Branham.
I was noticing on the proposed budget revenues, so it looks like the state appropriations, you're projecting about $120,000 less.
We already know that much, just based off of some one-time funding or some specialized funding that we know is going to be cut, but we actually anticipate larger cuts once the final budget is approved.
Okay, and then, so the request here is for county appropriations to increase by over 90,000. Is that right?
That was the projections we were given, yes.
Okay. And then the travel vehicle operations, that's doubling. Do you have information on that?
Yes, so historically, we have owned many of our vehicles. With the newest merger, the Department of Administration is taking over all of our vehicles, and we now have to lease them back from Department of Administration, even though we currently own them. So it is increasing our travel expenditures.
It's nice to be the state government.
Right?
It's nice.
Yes, sir.
It seems nice
Yes.
from where we sit.
Yes.
And then you mentioned, was it your accounts receivable software?
Yes.
Okay, and you're thinking you might be like 2 years without?
Oh, no, we're just currently about 2 months without any revenue. We started in February. We anticipate it. I would like to say it would start rolling in today, but there are many kinks in the software, of which I am not smart enough to understand those kinks, but they are being worked out by the people smart enough. And
Okay.
we know the money will come in. We just don't know if it will be this fiscal year or next, based off of when all of the insurances are able to get the claims.
Because that's over 100,000, right?
Yes,
The
sir.
difference there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Newton.
Thank you. So then, just to make sure I'm reading this correctly, what you're asking for is the mill cap, is that correct?
Yes.
That for sure, or?
I'm not sure the term that you're using. I'm sorry.
Yes, Director Hammond, you're recognized.
For this agency, the mill cap and the no mill budget is the same.
Okay.
It is.
So yeah, it's listed here on the thing under millage cap. And then my other question, and I think this is a silly question, but I'm going to ask anyway. You noted that there are some probable state mandated increases that your agency will have to pay for. Is the assumption that the state will also fund those mandated increases, or that you'll have to make that up with other sources?
Generally, we do not get all of it to cover it. We generally have to cover some of it. But the increase would be 2% off of salary, employee salaries, yes.
Thank you.
As far as yes, I guess, was it self-generated? Is that you saying you're self-generated funded, or is that collection from insurance companies?
Collection from insurance,
Okay.
yes.
And then, so do you all apply for your own grants?
Sometimes we're able to. A lot of times we get like block grants through the state. But most of our revenue needs to come from the insurance claims.
I do remember reading somewhere about you all getting this grant for a homelessness initiative, and so was wondering where that would play into anything.
We currently, do we have one there? We don't know. I have not been told about one yet. Yes.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no other questions, Ms. Teratio?
Thank you. And there are several millage agencies that are the same, whether they are this no mill increase or the mill cap increase. For this one, I just was curious to know, what is the mill number for CAMH? Sorry, I think yes.
The auditor's office, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Sorry.
Good evening. Alan Brown, Deputy Auditor, the Auditor's Office. The number would be $2,200,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it like 1 mill, 2 mills?
Right now, it's 1.3 mills.
1.3 mills.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Did I miss that somewhere? Okay.
Any additional questions, Ms. Teratio?
Yes, and just as a follow-up on that, let me see if I can formulate it. So for entities that are, or for organizations that are, or agencies rather, that are, say, 1.3 mil and the mill cap is the same as the no mill increase, there's no way that that number gets bigger if we sort of go to, there's no way to increase that. It just is what it is.
You're saying as far as the value of the mill? Is that what you're asking, or?
Yeah, I mean, over time, it
Deputy Auditor,
just
if you
is what
want.
it is. Could we just
Yes,
explain that? Yeah, thank you.
I would like to get back with you on that, ma'am. From my understanding, we cannot increase it. However, let me consult with the auditor as well.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, because there are other agencies that are in kind of the same boat as well.
Right, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Madam Chair.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Ms. English, you're recognized.
Thank you. And this may be a question for Administrator Brown, but I'm just unclear as to these agencies have now merged. And I know mental health is still a millage agency, but as they merged, is there a change, I guess, in the structure of how they're recognized anymore, or has anybody even thought about that?
I believe I understand the question that you're asking me, Councilmember English. We have not looked to see if this somehow changes how we should treat the Columbia area of mental health. Our assumption is that they are still the Columbia area of mental health, and that their merger or their changes at the state level doesn't change how we view them. But no, ma'am, to your point, we have not viewed that differently since the merger. I don't have a better answer. We just did not treat them differently or see them differently because of the merger that happened at the state level.
Okay, I didn't have a problem with that, but we've just been following, just because I'm part of state, we've been following that so closely. I just wanted to know if that would affect us in any way, but I'll keep my eye out. And thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, Richland County Recreation Commission.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the council. The Richland County Recreation Commission is dedicated to enriching lives and connecting communities through diverse recreational opportunities. We serve 425,000 citizens within the unincorporated areas within Richland County. Next slide. Our agency is led by Executive Director, Mr. Taurus Lewis. And we have a 7-member board that serves a term of 5 years and is appointed to staggered terms. Officers are elected annually. Current members are listed on the slide that's currently displayed. Commissions comprise of 4 main divisions: the Administrative Division, Community Relations Division, Recreation and Property Management. We employ 159 full-time employees, 92 part-time, and 163 seasonal employees across its 51 locations. Next slide. Fiscal year 25 outcomes and key accomplishments. We secured state funding for the purchase of the Richland County Wellness Center. We completed renovations to the Hopkins Pool and Pool House facility and held our grand reopening. We installed new playground systems at Hopkins and Bluff Road parks. We repaved parking lots at various sites throughout the county, improving accessibility and ADA compliance. We installed pickleball facilities at Blythewood and Denny Terrace parks. We improved security at our facilities through the installation of new camera systems throughout the county. Additionally, we enrich lives by offering 30-plus weekly exercise classes, health education events, and wellness fairs throughout the county. We offered 8 youth events focused on violence prevention and social skills. We had 12 back-to-school bashes, which provide school supplies to children throughout the county. And we also offer 7 unique classes at our technology centers. Partnered with citizen groups, we hosted a number of community festivals to include Gospel Fest, Jam Fest, Sweet Potato Festival, Diamond Day Festival, among others. We also started an all-girls basketball league for the 24-25 season. And we had SCAP basketball state champions for 14 and under boys and 12 and under girls. The current slide presents a history of our approved budget. Fiscal year 26, for operating mills, we were allocated 12.5 mills, which equated to approximately $18.8 million. We had a total budget of $23.1 million. This includes planned use of balance carry forward of $1 million, as well as one-time proceeds from the sale of property, $950,000. Budgeted capital improvements were $2.7 million. This is roughly in line with fiscal year 25, which included a one-time adjustment from a bond refunding. So we were allocated 13.6 mils. That 1.1 mil was a reduction in our debt service millage, and to prevent a spike in fiscal year 26, we did see an increase to our operating millage in that amount. And as you can see, fiscal year 24 and 23, we also were allocated 12.5 mils. During COVID, operating millage was reduced from 15 mils to 12.5. And we've been operating at that level since then. Next slide. Some peer-and-peer aspirant benchmarks. So the figures that you see here on this slide, they're based on agencies serving jurisdictions with populations between 250,000 and 430,000 residents with similar funding mechanisms. This data is published each year by NRPA. Richland County Recreation for the annual operating budget and 5-year capital spending finds itself in the bottom 50 percentile of recreation organizations. And for capital spending, we are closer to that 25th percentile figure. Next slide. In putting together our budget proposal for the upcoming year, we did a 3-year look back to calculate our millage capacity. And for fiscal year 26-27, we estimated a millage rate of 15.4 mils, which is what was utilized on the next slide. Would you like to speak to that? Okay.
Hey guys, I'm Lawrence Flynn. I'm the district's attorney and just wanted to add a little bit of color to the millage increase request. Richland Recreation District is a special purpose district created by state law. As Ryan alluded to a second ago, when they're created, their service territory incorporates the unincorporated area of Richland County plus all of those areas not encumbered by the city of Columbia. So the value of a levied mill is roughly about $1 million. Under our original enabling legislation, we had the authorization to levy up to 6 mills, but by state law, we can come to county council year over year for an adjustment in that number, and that's been the way that we've made those adjustments through time. There was actually a case from the late 90s that Mr. Weaver is probably very familiar with that put that particular function into place. And so in making this request, state law, as y'all are aware, allows you to increase annual millage by factors of CPI plus population on a year-over-year basis. So that was put in 2006. In 2016, there was an adjustment that was added to allow you to do the current year of millage and then also look back the prior 3 years that were underutilized. And so the request here is using the 12.5 mils that's been levied over the last several fiscal years, but to allow us to look back the last 3 fiscal years and the current year, which is what that chart alluded to get to 15.4 total mils of operating millage.
And so this request would align us with that 50% benchmark that was shown just a couple slides ago. Next slide.
I'm sorry, before we leave this slide,
Yep.
just go back. I just want confirmation from the auditor's office that those numbers align.
Sure.
What is your question, ma'am?
If the numbers that they just presented related to millage and look back align with your office's projections.
Yes, ma'am, they do.
Thank you so much.
So our request would align our total budget and our capital spending with that 50% benchmark for peer-and-peer aspirant organizations. Next slide. RCRC capital needs and priorities. This slide kind of breaks down some of our short and long-term goals. And in regards to capital spending. So each year we typically budget for 1 to 3 parking lots. HVAC units, we typically budget 10 per year, and roof replacements, we typically budget 2 to 3 per year. The cost breakdown is provided. Parking lots can range anywhere between 150 to 300,000 each. HVAC units, we're seeing those at approximately $25,000 to $30,000 a piece, and then roof replacements can vary from $150,000 to $250,000. Additionally, Trenham Park renovation project, we are seeking funding from the state. We would like to make improvements to the tennis court facilities, gym, baseball facilities, and the playground and field to the tune of $4.5 million. Improvements to tennis facilities at St. Andrews, Kaufman Road, and North Springs Park, totaling $6.5 million. We would like to implement a COLA increase for RCRC staff and a compensation study to adjust salaries to market, approximately $1 million per year reoccurring. New playground systems at community parks are roughly $150,000 per system. Increase our walking trails throughout the county. Trenham and Killian Park building construction to the tune of $10 to $12 million each. North Springs, Meadow Lake, Kaufman Road, and Friars Gate Park renovations to the tune of $1 to $2 million each. And improvements to North Springs baseball facilities to the tune of $2 million. So in total immediate capital needs are in that $60 to $70 million range. And these items will be captured in our 10-year master plan that we are currently working on. So in addition to the 2.9 new mills to support PAYGO capital and operations, we would like future consideration for GO bond approval. Next slide. Our current fund balance is $10.1 million in cash and cash equivalents on hand at fiscal year end 2025. RCRC maintains a reserve balance equal to approximately 6 months of operating expenditures, which for fiscal year 25 equaled $10.05 million. This equated to a surplus in the amount of $107,000. Our proposed fiscal year 27 budget represents 92% of our annual budget funded by property tax appropriations. This does not account for RCRC enterprise fund operations. We have 2 business type activities, our Linerick Golf Course and Richland County Wellness Center. Those facilities do generate revenues in order to support their operations. So accounting for these business type activities, this percentage is closer to 85%. Next slide. In summary, RCRC falls in the bottom 50% nationwide in both annual funding and capital spending. We manage 51 facilities with a capital budget of $2.7 million in fiscal year 26. This equates to roughly $54,000 per facility on average, which is roughly the cost of 2 HVAC units. These constraints have resulted in some parks not seeing meaningful upgrades over multiple budget periods. A general amendment was passed to sell assets. This amendment sunsets on 6/30/2027. We have sold some assets, and those funds have been reinvested into capital. Plans to convert parks to green space or sell existing properties are being reviewed and considered. RCRC is currently working on its 10-year master plan and soliciting input from the communities we serve. However, new funding is necessary to fund staffing and capital requirements. So in summary, RCRC would like to request full authority to maximize Act 388 millage, including all available look-back 15.4 mills. plus Statutory Act 388 adjustments in future budget years, and future consideration to issue new GO bonds secured by a levy of 2 additional debt service mills. Are there any questions?
Councilman Weaver, you recognize.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Director Lewis for spending as much time with me on the phone and in person answering budget questions earlier this year. My question is, if you get the budget increase you're asking for, what would happen to the roughly, you say here, 54,000 per facility on average? How much would that raise the amount per facility if you get the budget increase?
We don't have those exact numbers, but we will constantly improve our facilities because it all depends on what happens. Last week, I had a $54,000 emergency water break at Dennis Terrace Gym that I wasn't prepared for. And I can tell you I could put those $54,000 at Trenton, but then if something happens, I have to make a priority decision based on where the need is. So we do try to prioritize funding at every facility. As of right now, the average is about $54,000. We would like to get it to maybe $100,000 per site if we can. But there are these facilities are so old, or they're aging, and the infrastructure is getting really, really bad. And it's to the point where if we don't get funding, we will have to look at other measures, or possibly closing down some facilities or reducing hours just to try to keep the wear and tear down, or reducing programs and activities. And that's stuff that we don't want to do because I think my staff do a great job of providing recreation activities throughout the county, and we're just coming to the county asking for a little mercy and grace to help us try to get back where we at, because you as a council wasn't here when these facilities were built, and I wasn't here. I'm into year 3 of trying to help resurrect our recreation commission, but we're just in dire need now of funding to try to keep these facilities moving.
Oh, I know what you're talking about because you and I have walked some of these together, so I know what you're saying. And Madam Chair, do we, this might be a question for county staff, do we know what kind of actual tax increase it would be if they get the full budget increase? Can we get that figure?
Yes, our auditor's office should be able to share that information.
Are they ready for that today?
I would hope so.
Or if not, I guess they can get back to us on that figure.
We're going to get back to that? Okay. I'm sure that is something that many folks watching and taxpayers would want to know. So definitely, I think we should hear that information for sure.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you. Councilwoman Newton.
Thank you. And thank you for this presentation. A few questions, and I know that it's tough with our recreation facilities that have had a lot of deferred maintenance, and then there comes a time when it becomes hard to continue to defer. But just to make sure that I'm tracking on a few things, number one question is, you cited a few times how you compare with investments in similarly sized areas. And not that it matters, but I'm just curious, is that data agnostic of the structure of the recreation facilities? By which I mean, in our case, we have you guys who are a separate agency who are managing parks. In the city of Columbia, they have Parks and Recs where they control exactly how funds are spent. And I'm curious to know if your data talking about investment looks at those different types of structures equally and puts them all together, or if you're comparing apples to apples. Does my question make sense?
It does. We get our data from National Parks and Recreation Association, which is updated yearly. Where they get data information from, I can't quite say. As you stated, we are a special purpose district, so you all do fund us, and we kind of operate as our separate entity. But I work at the city of Columbia as well, and I know how they operate as well under their structure. So it's kind of, it goes both ways.
Just curious, because it does affect what you're able to do with investments when one agency controls how things are spent and then the other agency doesn't, not even from a board representation perspective. So I was just curious about that. And then also, just you and I have had a lot of conversations as it relates to the previous bond and some of the commitments that weren't fulfilled in the previous bond. And so I just want to confirm that funding for the Green Lakes Park that was part of that bond is represented in the budget that's being presented to us.
The funding for
For the pocket park for Green Lakes, that was originally part of the bond.
Every year, we still put about 300,000 in the budget for that.
Perfect. And then finally, just to make sure I'm reading my numbers right, with this look back, it looks like it's about a $6 million increase over what was stated as the mill cap. Does that sound right? Okay, they're nodding over here.
It's roughly like $1.2 million per mill.
Gotcha. Okay, and then finally, sorry, last question. I was under the impression, let me just make it that for our millage agencies, there's a minimum amount of millage that we were supposed to grant, and then we could give up to a certain amount. The way this information was presented, for some reason, I thought for Richland County Recreation, it was, let me ask it. What is the required amount of millage for Richland County Recreation Commission that we are supposed to give?
Recreation Commission, do you have that answer?
I can address it. This is kind of a weird and tortured history of how they were created. So when the Recreation District was originally created, they had authorization to levy up to 10 mills at any one time. With Mr. Weaver's lawsuit from 1997, there's a great clarification of state law as a result of that. And the determination was you cannot assign taxing authority to an appointed commission. And so as a result of that determination, the Supreme Court said everyone who is levying taxes as of March the 1st, 1997 is going to be stuck at that number for forever. Unless you can go and increase that number in one of two ways. You can have a millage referendum where you authorize your millage to be increased by a referendum held in the entirety of the taxing district, or you can come to county council every single year to bypass the amount of the statutory cap through an action of an elected board. So with respect to the number, if y'all were to take no action, we would be reduced back to 6 mills because that would be our statutory number. So in making the request, we've been at 12.5. You know, I think the slides alluded to the fact that we're at 15 back in the pre-COVID era. You ultimately have the discretion to set that millage at the number you determine you want to set it at. What we are tying our request to is a separate state law requirement outside of the limitations of a special purpose district that are tied to Act 388, which are the state law limitations on annual operating millage year over year, which is the same thing that the county is otherwise restricted by. In a single year, you can increase millage by the amounts that is the calculation of the CPI, the inflation index, and population growth in your particular community. If you were just doing it on that basis, you would look to the population, the CPI for this coming year, which are roughly 3% on CPI and population. But subject to a state law adjustment that happened in 2016, you can also go back and look for the prior 3 years that you did not utilize a millage adjustment. And so in order to get to the 2.9 mills, and to Mr. Weaver's question earlier, is that the maximum? Yes, that is the absolute maximum that we have calculated, subject to confirmation from the auditor's office that we could otherwise go to. And that's going from 12.5 mills, which is our current number and where we've been for the last several years, taking the current year's Act 388 authorizations and those 3 years of look-back operating millage adjustment that you can have, that gets you a 2.9 mil additional increase, which would get us to 15.4.
So then the answer to my question about what we're required is 6, and then what we've been doing is the 12.5, and what you're asking for is 15.
Correct.
Plus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I just clarify one thing?
Is it related to your lawsuit?
It is related to the lawsuit.
All right, got to make it brief.
I just wanted to say that I was asked to sue, to be the plaintiff, by Richland County Council. The taxpayer group sued
Thank
the
you, Mr.
special
Weaver.
purpose districts. We sued the special purpose districts to establish some parameters in state law. So just wanted to kind of put that out there.
That's all we know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing the information. I appreciate both of you. You know, I will say, I guess, looking overall at the request and the information, and, you know, Director Torres, you acknowledge, you know, you weren't here, many of us weren't here, but the reality is we are in a situation where a lot of our parks are in need of great repair. And our county is growing, as we see, and it's growing in all places, not just one particular, it's not just downtown, it's growing everywhere. And, you know, I will say, I think there is opportunity for us to really look at how we work together better moving forward, because this is a special purpose district that I believe in the past has operated separately from county council. And I think we could be more effective for our residents if county council was maybe included differently in the processes and how we grow and how we provide recreation to our residents. And so, as you mentioned, the 10-year master plan, I hope that we can figure out ways to really, truly, as we are right now going through our comprehensive plan, reimagine recreation and what it looks like in Richland County. Thank you. Next, we have Richland Library, which we don't have a speaker tonight, so we will move through those slides. The next millage agency is Riverbank Zoo.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the council. Riverbank Zoo and Garden, we are dedicated to creating connections, inspiring action, and impacting wildlife and wild places. I'm Ashley Harris, and I'm the VP of Finance with Riverbank Zoo and Garden. You can flip to the next slide, please. Okay, this is our organizational chart displaying Riverbank's senior leadership team. What you don't see here is that our president and CEO, Tommy Stringfellow, reports to a 7-member board of commissioners, 3 of which, beginning in the new fiscal year, will have been appointed by Richland County, with our rotating seat recently appointed by your council. Next slide, please. All right, this is a recap of our FY25 achievements. The most monumental highlight from the year was the completion of the Salida Skyride. For those of you that might not be familiar with this, it is an aerial gondola that takes guests across the Salida River connecting the zoo and garden. We completed construction in FY25, and after several months of safety inspections and policy implementation, we obtained the proper licensure and permits to open the Salida Skyride in the fall of 2025. And then some of our other highlights include our continuation to offer programs to the community extending free or reduced admission, like our Free Friday program that's offered to Richland County residents, free field trip admission for Richland County students visiting the zoo, and reduced admission for citizens receiving SNAP benefits. And then lastly, we welcomed 1.1 million visitors last fiscal year, with approximately 600,000 being tourists. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is our standard budget template request that this is the template that comes from the Richland County Budget Office that millage agencies are required to fill out and submit back to request our millage appropriation. So this template compares FY24 and FY25 actuals against the FY26 approved budget and the FY27 proposed budget. The FY24 and FY25 actuals report final audited totals by reporting category, and the FY26 approved column reports the current fiscal year's board-approved budget, and then the fourth column, the FY27 proposed budget, is what we'll present to our Board of Commissioners in June for their review and approval for the upcoming fiscal year. And then I wanted to point out the county appropriation line, which is about midway down with the asterisks. This is where we report our millage appropriation estimate from Richland County each year. The decrease in millage appropriations beginning in FY25 was due to a reduction in millage, having gone from 1.4 mils down to 0.6 mils. The county then began funding Riverbanks through hospitality tax to offset that reduction in millage, and then you'll see the hospitality tax amounts broken out in the line just below the county appropriations there. And the 0.6 mils was estimated to generate a little over 1.5 million in fiscal years 25 and 26. However, the estimated collections for the upcoming fiscal year have decreased to $1,408,000.
Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, we're taking questions right now.
I just wanted to ask
Okay,
on
all
that
right.
specific line item. because it is projected to be lower, and that's the mill collections. Is this the only mill agency or line item that I've seen where the projected collections was lower? I wondered if the auditor's office had any information on that.
Yes, sir. The simpler answer is that we collected 140,000 as carry forward, and now we only have 5,000 for carry forward. So that's the simple answer. Carry forward is not guaranteed. To go a step further, we also do estimates based on collections, and with FY25, we had 1 year collection in September that showed us that. With that 1 year collection, it lets us know that we needed to be a little bit more conservative at this point in time.
But that was the only one. That was the only millage agency that saw a reduction.
Right, which is the only millage agency that got their millage rate cut in half.
The what rate?
Right.
Millage rate?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So
the carry forward was 90-something%, you know, which we don't have carry forward now. So that's most of it.
So if we wanted to help them keep pace with, I guess, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to help them keep pace where every other millage agency is keeping pace with an increase under no mill.
Well, they should keep pace going forward, but the only way to help them with this deficit is a 0.1 mill increase.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So just to conclude this slide, for FY27, we are requesting the projected millage allocated to the zoo that's provided to us through the auditor's office. We have, however, accounted for the year-over-year decrease by increasing the hospitality tax line in hopes that the county will be able to keep us whole as you've done since FY25. Next slide, please. Thank you. All right, so this begins our FY27 proposed general fund. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, I don't think this was part of my, oh, that must have just been, I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Hammond included that. So that was just to depict the hospitality tax request in addition to the millage appropriation. Okay, so here we are. So this is the FY27 proposed general fund budget against our FY26 approved general fund budget. So each year we propose to our board a balanced budget. Here you'll see the projected revenues for FY27 totaling just under 27 million for the year. We break out our revenues by our earned revenues, Riverbank Society contributions, and governmental support. Riverbank Society is our private nonprofit 501c3 organization that supports the zoo. And you'll see that 17 million of the total budget is funded through earned revenues, and then the remaining 10 million will depend on private and public support. And you'll see that in FY27, the anticipated funding coming from either source is nearly equal. Next slide. So that wrapped up our revenue section. So this is our budgeted expenditures for the proposed budget year FY27 against the approved budget FY26. And so again, we project a balanced budget. So here you'll just see the expenditures that offset the total revenues that you saw on the previous slide. And we break out our budgeted expenditures by department. Next slide, please. All right, and this is just a summary of our current financial standing. So our fund balance through the third quarter of the current fiscal year totaled 26 million, of which 4 million is held as an operational reserve and 22 million was committed to fund capital projects. And we maintain an operating reserve to cover all essential functions for up to 3 months. The reserve is reviewed annually by our commission and is increased as needed. In recent years, we have been fortunate enough to report a surplus with revenues exceeding expenditures. While we do project a balanced budget, we use a very conservative approach when projecting our revenues because, you can't predict the weather. Mother Nature has a mind of her own, and we are very weather dependent. So the park does stay open, rain or shine, but we don't generally attract large crowds on rainy days. So, and then all of our annual audits are published on the Riverbanks website, with the most recent being our closed fiscal year 25. And that was it, but I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Yes?
Madam Chair, I just have one quick question. It looks like reading these numbers, your state appropriation's been cut from 5 million down to 750? Is that right?
So, well, in FY '24, we did receive $5 million in non-recurring state funding that was passed through Parks and Recreation that was specifically designated for deferred maintenance capital projects.
Okay.
And then in FY '25, our state funding was $2.5 million, but in FY '26 and '27, that 750 actually reflects our new partnership with the South Carolina Department of Ed, and that is recurring funding. But the partnership, the understanding is that we provide free field trip admission for all public state schools across the entire state.
Okay, I was just trying to make the point. It looks like
Yes.
state funding has been
And
decreased.
and that is, and so we did offset, we lost revenue for that
Okay.
recurring line item. So we did not receive any non-recurring funding this year for capital improvements. We have requested state funding in the
Okay.
upcoming year, but of course that doesn't get approved till June.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Newton.
2 questions. And first, just to make sure I'm still telling the truth to people when I tell people that you're the state's largest tourist attraction, is that still correct?
That is correct.
Okay, good. And then in terms of the deficit that you're describing, is it the approximately $100,000 that's represented in the Richland County hospitality tax line, the difference between the 2026 approved and 2027 proposed? Is that what the gap is?
Correct. So the decrease in the millage appropriation year over year is $144,000, and so we had received the same amount for hospitality tax funding of $1,501,712 in FY '25 and '26. So we did bring that up by the exact amount that our millage appropriation went down year over year.
And was that an application that you guys made to the county's H-Tax committee?
It was not.
Okay.
Because we just haven't gone through that budget process in previous years. My understanding, it's been a recommendation from the council. And so Ms. Hammond and I were working together to have some clarity with that. That's when she suggested I should add a line on the template here. And then also we submitted a request letter to her office so that we formally requested that way, with the understanding that possibly a recommendation from the council had not come in for the upcoming fiscal year.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Teresia.
So if I'm remembering correctly, when council approved the bond for the zoo, I think that was when the same budget year, there was also a vote to reduce millage for the zoo. If I can remember, was that 2 years ago? Was that 2 budget cycles ago? Okay. And if I'm remembering right too, it seems like we worked out at what points along the way the taxpayer would be impacted by the bond payments and such. Is that something we could be reminded of? It doesn't have to be right now, but just to kind of figure out how to anticipate what's coming next, and maybe how we can sort out funding for the zoo. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for confirmation that I'm reading this right on page, yes, the page we're on now, 81, where we talk about governmental support. So Lexington County and Richland County both give you hospitality tax money? Is that what that's showing in that governmental support? Or is that a different
Lexington
fund?
is just, it's not built in as millage. It is just an appropriation that we receive annually.
But is it hospitality or is it just general? That's what I'm asking.
Sorry, general.
Okay. And then the Richland County is, that number is, in this thing, is that where the hospitality is shown? I guess I want to understand under governmental
So
support.
you're looking at the colored template that comes from the budget office? Is that?
No, ma'am. The one that was just on the screen, if you go back. Thank you. On the left-hand column, the last section is called governmental support. Lexington County and then Richland County. And
I
so
see.
the 1 million, is that,
Yes, the 1
is that
million.
the
I'm sorry,
H-tax amount or is that the actual amount from the millage?
No,
So is it?
the Richland County is the amount from the millage, the
Okay.
1,408,000.
Thank you. So
Yes.
the million is Lexington County millage and then Richland County millage. And then at the bottom, well, excuse me, that last row where it says H-tax, A-tax, and PRT, that total amount includes Richland County's hospitality?
It does.
And so we're the only entity that give you the due hospitality? So that total amount is us, or is that
So
added
we
other stuff?
receive hospitality tax from the city. We apply through it also for West Columbia. We receive it different times, different years we'll receive it from other organizations. But to the level, of course, that we received the hospitality tax beginning in FY '25, not even close. But, smaller grants that are that we do apply for through the application process and then receive to the tune of about $20,000, and then it's very specific to marketing efforts.
So just to clarify, you're saying $20,000 comes from other entities, but the rest of that dollar amount is from the county?
Because, and then also there's accommodations tax in there too. So there are smaller grants that make up that line item, in addition to the $1,616,112 that we are requesting through H-tax from Richland. Thanks.
Any additional questions? All right, I think we're done.
Thank you so much.
Midlands Tech. Good evening, Dr. Little.
Good afternoon. How are y'all doing today? My name is Greg Little. I'm the president here at Midlands Technical College.
And your mic
That's
down.
not a great start. Here we go. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Again, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and share some of the things that are taking place at Midlands Tech. We have a lot happening. You'll see on this first slide, this year we hit some real enrollment milestones. It was the first time since 2017 our fall enrollment eclipsed 10,000 academic students. It was the first time since 2018 that we eclipsed 9,300 students in the spring. And already in the summer, we are up nearly 21.3% in courses taken. So we are really bursting at the seams. Our corporate and continuing education department, which actually does a lot of our other types of work when we work with companies and other types of continuing education for our population and our citizens, they had the largest number of contact hours in our school's history. So we are really stacking a lot of positive news on top of it. Our skilled trades, healthcare, advanced manufacturing, they are almost full already. Those courses are filling up or will be full by the fall. And so our biggest concern right now is capacity for those programs. We're working diligently to find the capacity for them. If you'll go to the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me add one other thing. Just as a reminder, we are the third largest provider of post-secondary education in the state of South Carolina. The University of South Carolina is number 1, Clemson's number 2, and we are number 3. So we're very proud of that and very excited to see us growing as we really are building a lot of momentum for the fall. Our next slide, I want to share with you our next big idea. And this is a big idea called Ready, Set, Hired. And it's really trying to create a pipeline of talent and a pathway to entry-level manufacturing jobs for the people in our community. We currently have a pilot with Michelin, Scout, and the Columbia Urban League, and we are going to be running that pilot starting at the end of this month. And then once we have piloted it and worked all the kinks out, we want to bring together all the regional manufacturers to create a consortium so that we can begin to create this pathway and a pipeline, especially as Scout Motors is coming in with nearly 4,500 jobs associated with that, and the type of stress that is going to put on our workforce. We want to make sure that we are creating a talent pipeline very early on. We're going to work with nonprofits, churches, adult ed, anyone that is working with workforce development. We're going to build partnerships with eventually to help bring that talent together and help give our local folks a leg up in these jobs. So just wanted to make sure y'all knew about this. This is something we're very excited about. We think it's going to have a significant impact in our region, and we're very excited about deploying that this fall. Next slide, please. I also want to share with you a little bit about our EMT program. We have the largest EMT program in the state, and we're doing a lot of work with EMT in Richland County. At Fort Jackson in particular, we have a first-of-its-kind program to help combat medics get their paramedic certification. One of the challenges that our veterans face is translating that military experience into the civilian world, and so we're helping them do that. We are also the first EMT program in the country to obtain accreditation letter of review from our new for a new part of our accreditors. We're very excited about that. Anytime you can be the first one in the country to do something, you got to be pretty excited about that. And of course, we do a lot of work with Richland County, the deputies, and they are taking courses so that their deputies are better prepared. And so when those seconds count and those first responders are there, that they can take action, and they are well trained to help whoever is responding, whoever needs their help in that moment. Next slide, please. We also set a school record this year. We have 25 gold medalists at Skills USA. Skills USA is the largest workforce student organization in the country. We have a state level competition, so we won 25 state championships this year. And next month, at first week of June, those 25 students will go to Atlanta and face off against the best of the best that this country has to offer. And we're excited to put our stamp on the national competition. Don't want to put any pressure on our folks, but we do expect to bring home some medals, as we do most every year. We've become quite the juggernaut when we go head to head, especially with those, with Texas and Georgia and in California, some of our larger states. It's fun to have little old South Carolina represented and us winning a lot of hardware. Going to the next slide, please. Last year, we actually hosted the first Scholastic Esports Championships in the history of South Carolina. It's also pretty cool to be at #1 in that. The organizers of that event actually would like to rotate that throughout the state. So we decided, how do we have something that is distinctly for the Midlands? And we created the Soda City Cup. So the first annual Soda City Cup took place. If you'll notice, we did have a lot of folks outside of our region participate, but we also had a very strong regional footprint for that. And you see the students from across, from Richland County that participated in that event. And number 7, this is the next slide, if you wouldn't mind. This is maybe something outside of the next big idea that we're excited about in Ready, Set, Hired. I wanted to make sure we drew your attention to this. We will be launching the first ever technical college life program in South Carolina's history as well. You'll notice the life programs at Clemson and USC. There's one at Wingate, at USC Aiken, maybe Coastal Carolina, I think is another one, the College of Charleston, where learning is for everyone. It's for individuals with developmental disabilities, intellectual and developmental disabilities. And we are going to launch a day program. 5 of our 7 inaugural students are from Richland County, so we're very excited about that. And we purposefully have a smaller number. 7 will not be the number we eventually begin to recruit. But what we wanted to do, because it was the first time we've ever done it, we just wanted to make sure that the students would be okay, that the campus anything we haven't seen at the campus so far, we'd be able to fill in those gaps and solve any problems that we might have. We'll have a summer bridge this program, and then that program will be launched officially in the fall. Next slide, please. And one of the things that happened this year I may be most excited for is our Maverick Market. We had student groups across our campuses as well as school leadership and our faculty and staff. They were really concerned about students with food insecurities and that it was becoming a barrier for their success. So we launched a Maverick Market, not only to help with the food insecurities, but also to reduce the stigma for people asking for help. What you can do, any student at Midlands Tech, either corporate continuing education or academic, can go and have 5 items a week. And it could be anything from a pack of nabs to cereal to whatever it may be. Or if you really need something bigger than that, we have recipe bags, pre-made recipe bags, and everything comes in it. Even though there's multiple items in that bag, we consider that one item. To make sure that folks have the extra help they need. We have done that on our Beltline campus as our inaugural Maverick Market. We are finding spaces right now on the airport campus, and we'll do another one at Northeast campus. And then we'll create mini markets at our other areas to make sure everybody can have opportunities to do that. My favorite part about this is that this did not come down from on high. This came from our students, it came from our faculty and staff, and a genuine concern about the students that we serve and the needs that they have. It's one of the coolest things that we've done, and I'm just so excited to be able to launch that and to be a part of that effort. So that's all the good stuff. I guess that's what we do, right? We want to butter you up, make sure you feel good about the work that we're doing, and then we show you the numbers. But we are this year just looking for the operating millage, capital millage, and debt services. That's about what we've always asked for, or the cap related to that. We are thrilled to be a part and a partner with the Richland County. You have been such great partners to us in the past, and I just wanted you to know that the future is bright at Midlands Tech. Last year, we adopted a strategic plan, and with a real focus that every Maverick matters, and we try to do everything in our power to make sure that every student who walks through our doors, every business partner that we do business with, that they know that they matter and they're a part of the Maverick community.
Thank you so much, Dr. Little.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Any questions? All right, Councilwoman Newton, yeah, quick.
It is quick. Well, thank you for all you do at Midlands Technical College. It's really maybe a question for staff or the auditor. I'm just curious, when I look at page 40 that lists the projections for millage, the numbers, and I might not be mathing well, that I see aren't exactly the same as what you have here. So we have MTC, and we have a no mill budget number and a mill cap budget number, and then there's an MTCC, which is that the capital? Okay. And so then is debt service mixed in with one of these two, or is there a third MTC line item?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. It's the two together, capital and debt service is 2 mills.
So the MTCC
Yes, ma'am.
is the combined capital and debt service?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Newton. Any additional questions? All right. Did you have more slides?
No, ma'am, that's all I have.
Oh, okay. I thought there was some more in my book, but if you're good, I'm good.
I'm sorry, there are 2 more slides. I'm sorry, next slide. Hey, there's no need for me to keep talking. If y'all, I understand that's lesson number 1. We can just go ahead and roll through the lessons, or roll through the slides. Thank you very much again. I'm so excited to continue to serve in your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Hammond? So I know you mentioned at the beginning regarding the school districts overall. Sorry, yes, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. We did print the budgets that were submitted by the school districts for you in the back of the book. There is no presentation to accompany them, just the budget requests.
And is there someone, is it the auditor or you, can someone simplify or summarize the request?
These are submitted by the agency, so I mean, I
Okay.
can kind of read through them, but I don't want to misspeak on their
Essentially,
behalf.
is there a millage increase
Sure.
request?
They are requesting a no mill increase, both.
And that is for Richland District 1
And District 2. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does anyone else have questions related to the cap, the dollar amount, any of that stuff? Are you good? Right? Director Hammond, do you want to wrap us up?
Sure, thank you very much. Coming next, we had a meeting, a reserved meeting scheduled for the 14th, but instead, if it pleases you, what we'll do is provide to you the recommended budget book. That'll summarize everything that we've done in the work sessions and give us a little time to make sure we've dotted our i's, crossed our t's there. And then the motion period opens today, and is scheduled from May 12th to May 22nd. We'll send out the forms by morning for the motion period to begin, for you to submit your motions based on what we've shared. We look to distribute that motions list to you on May 28th. The remaining readings and hearings is scheduled for May 19th at 6 p.m., the first reading for title only, and then May 21st, the public hearing, followed by final readings on June 4th at 6 p.m., and June 16th, the third reading would commence at 6 p.m. as well.
Thank you. Mr. Livingston?
I'm sorry, can I get that motions date?
Sure. Yes, sir. We have it scheduled for May 12th through May 22nd.
That's today, but you said you were going to send it tomorrow? What were you saying?
Yes, sure, so let's do the 13th.
Okay.
Thank you. We may get it out today, but.
Well, no, yes, but you're going to send it tomorrow. So
Yes,
really it's
ma'am.
the
Thank you.
13th through the
Thank you.
22nd. Any additional questions? Thank you again to staff for the thorough presentations. We appreciate it. Hearing no other questions, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move, Madam Chair.
Motion is second for adjournment. Madam Clerk?
Brennan?
Yes.
Pugh?
Yes.
Little?
Yes.
Livingston?
Yes.
Teratio?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Deline? Yes. Mackey?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.